Gonna rock it now, gonna rock it now, by Jackson Aurelia, Jackson Aurelia, gonna rock it now, gonna rock it now, rock it, Jackson Aurelia, T-Force.
Welcome to the rework of the T-Force, now we going hard, cause we bumping at the beat source. It's a 3-course dinner of dudes bringing the news and stats, interviews and casts from the pro scene. So fresh and so clean, like you're leaning with Nami in the bot lane. Keep it hot like brand, practicing his dot game, give it to you easy like you're Resi in a bot game. Imagine Draven at prime time, now ulti like LeBlanc can copy that 4 times, but manlier, knock it up like now fight planning a family-er. You gotta be tuned in like Sona on the ad wall, get on the chat call, can a podcast really be all that? Of course, how do 4 guys make a Triforce?
Hey guys, welcome to the Trinity Force podcast. You're listening to episode number 179, as you heard, with the brand new intro by Area Defect. They have graciously put that together for us. You guys can go check out the interview with Kyle Danger Hennick on episode 177.5. He also joined us on episode 178 for, well, we talked about patch 4.12. We had a 5-man show.
Pretty much the whole episode.
Popular. They liked him.
Yeah, we got a couple of emails.
The fans were fans.
Well, good.
He's a natural.
The fans were karma.
Yeah, that was what had the
man.
grid going there. I was seeing if you would remember.
Yeah. The fans were like karma. They were full of fans. I don't know. The listeners were like karma. They were full of fans. There we go. Something like that.
Oh, boy. They only have
no,
2 fans.
yours fell apart.
Yeah, well.
That was it. Mine was just a little shot at DeClaude to see if he was paying attention.
Yeah. That was from our little Twitter conversation.
Because I sure was not paying attention when you made that
No,
one.
you
I was
weren't.
like, oh, yeah, I was.
Well,
I can see it, but.
We were talking, the end of our conversation ended, and I was like, Dom, you realize it's a pun, right? He's like,
No,
yeah.
I completely missed it. It's like, oh, yeah, okay. I should have known.
It was serious.
I should have expected. I should have known better.
I always expect every
should've.
DeClaude tweet to
Be on
end
guard.
with some kind of pun.
Yeah,
Yep.
normally, like 99% of my day, I'm either sleeping or expecting a pun. DeClaude caught me at that one moment where I wasn't.
Yeah, sometimes, like this episode, there might not be any puns. I gotta ease down after last week's. That was a little crazy, a little bit too much.
So
I was
guys,
showing off for our guest.
you probably had the best pun that you've had in 80 episodes or whatever it was. It's probably a little more than that. I think you've been on almost 100 episodes now. Well,
I've been on over 100, so he's got.
I've been on for more than 100.
Have you? Oh yeah. I guess you came around before Dom, so you would have been. Yeah, that's right.
Well, Dom and I came on like right after Dom, I think.
I don't remember.
The 3 current co-hosts more or less like started within 5
3 weeks
episodes of each other.
Yeah.
So Tara left pretty quickly, and then we were just doing 5-man, and then hey, look at us reminiscing.
Oh, I know. That's cute.
So nostalgic.
Well, in about 20 episodes, we'll talk about it again, and we'll have 5 people on during that 20 episode because we keep teasing it. We keep teasing it.
Episode 200?
Well, I know we should start teasing that. No, Days Untold will be on. She'll be joining us and taking over the 5th man or woman slot, and it's going to be like a person. There you go. It's going to be so as we move forward with Trinity Force, guys. I want you to realize that Trinity Force is going to start to change a little bit over the next probably a month. We're going to have 5 people total in the show roster, but some episodes are going to have 4, some are going to have 5. You might see some 3-man episodes. Like we're going to, depending on people's schedules, we're moving around. We're trying to get people's schedules worked out as we move into the new year. So be ready for interesting episodes, but expect the same level of discussion as always. Speaking of the same level of discussion, Chihira is not with us this week, so hopefully we can continue without him. He is taking a vacation for this entire week.
We're screwed. We need him.
I can make chewing noises in the background. And
Can you make like little rat things? Like
yeah. The live show definitely won't be as entertaining. Those rats.
Right. I want to keep moving forward because we spend a lot of time reminiscing here. Guys, Journey to 30 goes live I want to say they do it on Wednesday. They were doing 2 episodes a week. I told them to bring it back to 1 for a little while just to kind of get in the groove and really get their podcast experience going. It's a video or a vlog that they do every week to help you guys get better at the game. So if you're brand new, level 30, or low bronze, or you're just looking for another media to listen to, go to youtube.com/T-Force podcast. You'll find that Journey to 30 there.
Yeah, I watched those, and Snagglewolf and Azurition do a good job. And like you said, it's a vlog, so they'll bring up the mini map and with little drawings on it and everything to show and help what they're discussing. So you see, as a new player, you got to see what they're talking about to kind of get an idea. And I like it. They do a good job. I want to see what they have next.
Right, we're going to see more of those, guys. Go check that out. Aspiration and Snagglewolf are doing a fantastic job. And before we move into the discussion this week, one last thing. Sorry for the really long intro. I have to apologize already. But Gatherer's Gourmet Granola, you guys have heard us talk about this for 3 weeks now. This is the last week that we're going to talk about these guys. But again, I gave 3 of these big bags that I had eaten most of it out of to people at work. I said, I'm so sick of granola. Please take it and eat it. And they were like, oh my God, give me more. And I said, well, you can't have all my granola because I'm still going to eat it at some point, but...
Running low.
That's right. bit.ly/T-Force Granola. Use code on Amazon. Use code, all caps, TForceGG to get 10% off your first order. You'll see lots of tweets over on our Twitter. You'll see them on Facebook. People have been fantastic. They love the granola. So there's people in chat right now talking about how much they love it. Guys, Gatherer's Gourmet Granola. It is fantastic. Please go buy some. So that is it for the spiel. Oh, wait. Yeah, well, sorry. Someone donated. If I don't have your name in front of me, you will get a shout-out on Wednesday.
You monster.
I'm for the worst. All right, let's talk League of Legends here.
I have the name.
Wait. I found
we
it.
do?
Yeah, the Michael.
Michael. Oh, hey. That was cute.
Michael donated.
Thank you, Michael. $15.
Michael donated $15. If you guys don't want to go buy granola, you guys can donate to the podcast. Thank you very much, Michael. You help out quite a bit as we move forward and get Days on the podcast and take care of her equipment and everything. You are helping out the T-Force family move forward with podcasting. If you guys want to donate, tforce.trinityforcepodcast.com. There's a big old donate button right there. So we are moving into 4.12 Aftermath. 10 minutes later, we're going to talk about this. So you guys heard about 4.12. We talked about Lucian, and I think Dom put it really well earlier that we were surprisingly on point with our Lucian predictions on the podcast.
Like the knee-jerk reaction everybody had prior to 4.12's release, but after the notes had been released, was that he was getting a substantial nerf just because of the range, and all of a sudden, nobody was going to play Lucian anymore. And it's like, that's true, but if you looked at everything else they did to him, the range nerf is big. He just turned into a champion who was no longer safe in all instances. He has like an incredibly high skill cap now. But if you have good mechanics and good positioning, you're going to do very, very well with Lucian. And Adam was putting on a clinic with Lucian right after.
The first night.
Yeah, I mean, he played him out of top and out of and as a traditional marksman, and he was like very, very successful. I mean, that top lane game, you single-handedly turned it around for us. That game was all but lost, and then they just couldn't kill you.
Did your brother maybe get some chance, Dom, to play with him in the marksman role?
I haven't played with my brother in a bit, and he was never a fan of Lucian in the first place. Lucian's a bit too caster heavy for my brother's taste. He would rather auto attack, reposition, do all that.
Drink his tea and sit back and
he does. He does drink tea.
Nice.
No, he's just not that into the caster type champions and everything.
Right. He prefers
Lucian just was never him. He likes Jinx. He likes Vayne a lot more. Tristana. Yeah. Those types of champions.
My twin brother, he's a marksman main, and he's gold, and he loves Lucian. He played Lucian when everyone was saying, Lucian's bad, and no one picked Lucian, and he played him and did really well with him because he liked him. And then all of a sudden Lucian became meta, and he played him even more because, he was the primary pick.
I remember that.
And he was worried about the nerf slightly, but then he played him. He just sent me a message today from when he played him. He just got back on and played after 4.12, and he said he 1v4'd the enemy, killed 3 of them, and died to Ignite. So he was loving it. He was just he was really singing the praises, and he thinks Lucian got a huge buff just because he's used to his playstyle, and he feels like he's dashing all the time. He's just moving around, and no one can hit him with a skill shot. So I think what you said is pretty much on point. He's got a higher skill cap, and that makes him a lot more powerful, but he's harder to play.
The big problem with the new Lucian is they didn't give E a mana cost, so it's a free harass in lane. You have infinite, you have near infinite auto attacks with that E, because your combo right now is EQWE, and you've got off 8 double auto attacks plus all the extra damage.
I mean, and we completely overlooked that point, like how it was just going to be free extra damage every time the cooldown was up.
Yep.
Yeah.
He was kind of mana intensive before, and this completely solved that.
I mean, they've already put a mana cost on that ability on the PvE. Like, we'll see what happens. What the fallout's going to be here, how they address it, because they've also removed the slow removing element of it. I don't know if any of that stuff is going to stick, and we're way too far away from 4.13 to really discuss it. But
we'll discuss that on Wednesday. We're going to talk PB stuff on Wednesday.
We'll see what happens there. I mean, but you know, they're already looking at Lucian again, despite this recent round of changes. So play him while you can.
Yeah, the big thing with him is so if you guys didn't catch the 4.12 discussion, every time he lands his passive double auto attack, for each auto attack he lands on an enemy champion, it reduces the cooldown of E by 4 seconds, or 2 seconds. It reduced by 2 seconds. So each auto attack is 2 seconds on enemy champion. It's 1 second per auto attack if you attack anything else, creeps, monsters, etc., towers. So as you're attacking enemy champion, you don't need... See, this is why we were talking about... let me back this up. Essence Reaver, for example, we were talking about it last week. This is why it's a trap on him, and cooldown reduction is a trap on him right now. Because by the time you do your full combo of an E, auto attack, Q, auto attack, W, auto attack, your E is back off cooldown and allows you to dash again. And then your Q and W are coming off a cooldown within seconds of each other. So there's no reason to have extra cooldown reduction on him, because a full combo takes some time to get out. It takes probably 6 seconds to get a full combo out, you know, if you're utilizing the full auto attacks.
You can argue he's going to quickly burn through all of his mana, and Essence Reaver, because he's getting so many extra auto attacks, will give him additional mana back. I still think it's a bad item, so don't buy it, but
it's too expensive.
Well, yeah, that argument is would be good if he wasn't doing a lot of damage with all those auto attacks and his abilities. Like,
well, if he could realistically pick it up in the laning phase, around 6, then maybe it'd be awesome. But there's no way you're gonna finish that item that quick.
I don't want to get into it.
He has too many auto attacks going that like he needs to auto attack so much at this point to get more of those E procs that Infinity Edge is the way to go.
Well, Blade of the Ruin King.
Either way.
I would still go definitely. Cutlass to Blade of Ruin King to Trinity Force or whatever you want to do.
Especially since they buffed its basic auto attack damage, the extra damage it does per attack. So
and you get life steal, so you're grabbing double. You're grabbing double vamp with the life steal as well.
Yep.
So yeah, Lucian right now, go play him. Go gain elo. You can play him anywhere except I guess you could play him jungle if your name is Wrecker and you'll play him out of the jungle because you're crazy. But yeah, go play him. Realize that he has a bit of a skill cap now because you have to be able to reposition yourself with E and not get out of range because the range is shorter. But if you can weave those auto attacks in between abilities, you're going to do quite a bit of damage.
Yep, with Lucian, you can orb walk and orb dash. That's how often you can freaking dash. So
yeah,
orb dash and CS.
And if you're playing against him, bring actual lockdown. Don't think slows are going to do you much help there.
No.
I do want to point out that Optimus Tom is in the chat, and he's answering questions for us. So thanks, Optimus Tom, for being there. Somebody asked what skill order would you go? Skill order now is Q first, E second, W third, and of course R every time you can put a point into it. So R, Q, E, W, because you want your E on as short of cooldown as possible, even with the auto attacks, to be able to get more E's off to get on more auto attacks to do more damage.
Mm-hmm.
So, and W is just now your utility to get auto attacks off and gain a
speed
boost.
You know, it's nice the later the game goes, but you don't need it early anymore.
No. So yeah, that's Lucian 412. I like the notes. I didn't even read the notes here. Lucian's stronger but hard to play. Essence Reaver still bad.
It is, and we touched on that. I think the lifesteal is the wrong stat for that item. Mm-hmm. I've been standing by that for a while. If it built out of, even if it was BS Sword and Brutalizer, like that might suddenly make it appealing to way too many top laners. I don't know. And then instead of lifesteal, it had armor pen, just flat armor pen. It's a way more compelling caster, 80 like marksman caster item than it is right now.
Yep. I think that's a good way to roll it down. I'm tweeting again. Sorry. Let's
How
talk
dare
about.
you?
I want to get people in the chat. Let's get people in the chat and talking. There's lots of you talking in there. I want more. I'm never satisfied. We could have 10,000 people watching, and I want another 10. Say hello to the dog for me and mark your time.
I'm marking it, and I'm going to go shut him up.
So, Jax is among the bottom 10 winningest champions right now, yet has the fourth highest ban rate.
So wish Zero was here for this.
We all know this is a problem, but is there something still be left to be afraid about Jax?
I don't know. I haven't run into Jax too much since they nerfed him.
That's
the problem there for me.
Here's my problem with Jax, and I wish the collab was here to hear what I'm saying, is that there is a timer on Jax. No matter what you do to shut down Jax, at a certain point in the game, he's going to hard carry, assuming you don't win before that time bomb explodes, right? So, and a lot of people are still afraid of him. You have to remember that if you are in silver or below, you are the 50% of the player base right now. And 50% of that player base does not know how to shut down Jax, does not know how to deal with Jax in lane, does not know how to deal with Jax after lane. So it's the same thing with Kassadin. Even if he gets through, even if you're a bad player, your chance of carrying on Jax is pretty high. Because he can just jump in with no regard for his own life and kill 2 or 3 people before he dies. If not, just wipe the entire team. To give that some perspective, if you're in Plat 3 or higher, you're in the top 1% of the entire player base in solo queue. So honestly, when you look at it that way, where silver and bronze are the 50% of the player base or more, these people are banning them because they don't potentially have the skill level or the knowledge to know how to deal with them, and the time bomb explodes at some point in the game.
Well, and even in the higher ranks and in the LCS, I don't. Well, the LCS when he's picked, when was he picked?
I don't think they're even banning him much anymore.
He was picked. Yeah, he last time he came out in the LCS, he was banned President Jax. Oh my god! And then he came out and it was meh. So I think you make a good point if you know how to deal with him and shut him down. But he's still a ticking time bomb regardless. If somebody gets him and can do the right thing when they're falling behind, they know how to catch back up. They can snowball just like anything else, and then boom, he's a side push nightmare, and when he gets into team fights, you're dead. So it's I don't know. I'd ban him if I were you, or play him.
See, that's why. He's just one of those champions that if somebody gets their hands on him, they are going to carry at some point in the game, and so he deserves to be banned because of that.
Yep, and Kassadin still too.
Nasus is a little different because Nasus takes some time to get to that. Takes a little more time because he has to farm his Q to become a ticking time bomb. The only thing that Jax needs is a little bit of farm or 1 kill. So.
Right. Nasus is also comparatively easier to shut down early on.
Oh yeah.
Jax,
Well, Jax has an escape, like a get out of jail free card with his Q. He can jump.
Which we can talk about that too, but.
Well, yeah, let's go ahead, Dom, if you want to intro that.
Well, so there are a lot of ideas on mobility and like the importance of it just within a character's kit, and you can really see that at play in mid lane most of all right now, because there are a lot of people who still want to hold on to the assassin meta, because a lot of assassins have the ability to get in, do a bunch of damage, and then get out of trouble or they die. But more and more mid laner, more and more people are starting to trend towards the long range and or utility type mid laners. We've seen a lot of Xerath played lately in LCS. Ziggs was popular for a long time due to his range and safety. Lux has always been a popular pick, but she falls into that same category.
You know what's funny about Ziggs? Did you watch the who played in OGN last week? Fuck, who is it that with Easy Hoon and whatnot? God damn it! I feel like I should know the team. Anyway, Ziggs was picked. Ziggs single-handedly won them the game because he stalled the game out until 50 minutes until the entire team was farmed, and then they won it in team fights.
I saw the Twitter backlash on that, where even pros are saying, "Oh, Herpaderp, he's such a fun champion. All I do is clear waves." But he's effective, and I think he's fun.
I mean, you just point out Ziggs. I thought that was funny. You said he was popular for a while.
Ziggs does have
SKT1S. Sorry, Najin Black Sword SKT1S. So people want to see that.
Ziggs does kind of have a get out of jail free card, so he's not as suited for this conversation. But the real point is that you don't need a get out of jail free card if you don't go to jail. And like the only real point is there, your champion doesn't need to have mobility. You just need to have more attention on your own positioning than anything else, and understanding where you need to be to maximize. Yeah, I mean, and she falls into the same category too. Not quite as long range as Xerath, but even
she's
Ziggs.
got a pseudo get out of jail free card with her. Oh shit, get away from me, stun. But that's it.
Yeah,
her mobility
that's directional. It's not like
you
know, if you're getting if there's a pincer attack going on, you're screwed.
Yeah. But she's popular, and because she's an assassin again, like we were talking about, she's real popular in the higher level players.
So when the bubble pops here, what is the question?
I don't even remember now.
At the end of the day, well, we're talking about ban prison.
Are we talking about ban prison, or are we talking about mobility versus non-mobility?
We've gone all over the place right now.
Right. I want to make sure that I want to get us.
I didn't put it in the document. Like I completely forgotten about this until you brought up. Until you said specifically, get out of jail free.
I asked you to put it in the document.
I know. I forgot. I had work. I had work to do.
I asked you to put it in.
Damn it. You asked me to edit something for GG Chronicle. I didn't do that because I had work to do.
You didn't even respond.
I was working.
No, I know. I'm just fucking with you. All right, anyway, so people, we used to get a lot of emails from people that would say, well, why is this champion be played when there's no mobility? Why were mobility champions popular at a certain time? Why are non-mobility champions popular now? And I think this goes back to you have to also look at how the game has evolved and the items changes that have been going through, because as summoners, as masteries, as runes, as champions become changed, we're going to see different champions come in this game. So the assassin meta was super popular, which is really mobile champions. Assassins just tend to be mobile, but exhaust wasn't reducing damage by 50% at that time.
Right.
So and they're looking at exhaust for 4.13.
Still at 40% and minus. Still 40% is a pretty big number for
Well,
exhaust.
We're talking about that next one, though.
Right. Yeah, they're looking at exhaust, but that kills assassins, so now we have to go to mages in the mid lane. Well, you're going to bring utility mages in because Pharaoh Flare and other jungle items are so powerful, there's no reason to put the carries in the mid lane. Well, now that jungle items have been nerfed, and now we're bringing back utility in the jungle, we start seeing a little bit more carry or long range champions that are able to farm very easily and push the enemy in. There's no longer the high mobility champions in the mid lane. So as you can see, each piece of the game affects the other.
Well, and also players are learning. The meta is adjusting, and players are learning that regardless of what stage of what patch we're talking about or what season, pushing the mid lane now is just becoming more and more prevalent. Getting that mid tower down as soon as possible to control the map. It's a chess game strategy that has existed since the beginning of the game, but hasn't really been taken advantage of or abused until now. It's becoming much and much more popular. So those kinds of champions push that. The bully champions really help with that strategy, and that's pretty much a core strategy to begin with. So I think that's one of the reasons why we're picking those wave clear champions as well. Twisted Fate, for example, he's coming back because of his wave clear.
Right.
And of course his mobility.
Well, wave clear, and also you have to look at Athene's and Holy Grail got nerfed.
But he's one where, yeah, you're right.
I mean, you pick Twisted Fate, and then you hit level 6, and someone should die. That's sort of the
exactly.
The
but if he didn't have the wave clear, he wouldn't fit into where we're at right now.
Right.
But he does, so he's good for that.
And a lot of these champions, the reason we've seen Syndra and Xerath come back is because Athene's and Holy Grail got nerfed. And now the magic resist has been nearly cut in half on that item. They're actually able to do damage to an enemy mid laner that has built that item. And we're in 4.13, we'll talk about this again Wednesday. If you go look at the patch notes, remember, we're always going to, kind of refer to the patch notes, surrender at 20.net. You can look at them. They're actually nerfing the magic resist on Chalice of Harmony by 5. So they're slowly removing magic resist from the mid lane.
Okay, so even a little step up.
Mm-hmm.
And there wasn't a lot of armor to be had there in the first place. So.
Yeah, there's no armor because the only armor item you can buy is the name of the
Zanya's?
Yeah, what's the Zanya's
Seeker's Arm Guard?
Seeker's Arm Guard. That's it. I build it. I don't ever build it. I just remember what it looks like. But
frustrating going up against an AD in the mid lane, just because oh good, now my entire build path has to change or I will die.
That's so season 3.
I think that
That's true.
Dom, do you have anything to add to this conversation about mid
Nope.
versus not mid?
Nope.
Well, that was a great conversation. So
Yeah.
Anyway,
sorry, I had to get up in the middle of it because I was ganked by Husky Warwick there.
We're going to go ahead and use the last half an hour of this podcast to discuss listener questions. We talked about it before. We're going to talk patch 4.13, or at least the notes that are available, including Sona. We're going to do a follow-up on Sona on Wednesday, so you guys, if you're looking out for that, that'll be there. So let's do it. Let's do mailbag. Rickenheimer writes in, didn't we discuss this one?
I feel like we discussed these, but I also think they were a little different.
We discussed these too. We discussed how to properly take objectives. We discussed how to siege a tower.
All right, I couldn't remember. I meant to ask you. I was working.
Yeah, okay. Jedi Zeke writes in, how much better are the stronger ADs than the weaker ones? Example, Graves versus Lucian, etc.
You're always going to have
lot
like
better.
there are always going to be tier lists where certain champions are just outshining others, and some are just so far below certain champions they don't get picked anymore.
Build paths.
And it comes down to the skill level,
a lot of times,
as well as will they surprise you because you haven't seen them, blah, blah, blah.
That doesn't mean you will be unsuccessful if you pick Urgot. You just need to be familiar with what Urgot does and how you exploit all of his strengths, because he has a lot of weird hidden power in his kit.
Well, let's talk Lucian versus Graves, because there was a thread a while ago, and that's where this may have come from, where they said Lucian is basically the new Graves. Lucian is Graves. That's what they said, because they both have a dash, they both have a nuke with their Q, and their
slow.
W both have some kind of utility added to them.
Right. Both have a slow.
Well, Lucian doesn't have slow.
His is a movement speed increaser.
Yeah, same phage, whatever. But yeah, they're when you're looking at that comparison, I agree. He is Graves 2.0. First of all, Graves will run himself out of mana quickly. His quick draw, only use it once. It's got a pretty long cooldown. I can't see any reason why you would use. I don't see why you would pick Graves over Lucian because of how similar their kits are.
Graves is easier to play than Lucian.
Well, here's the thing.
And he's got such a longer range too. Wow, look at that.
25
range. So there's your reason right there. Pick him for the range.
The big reason you don't pick Graves over Lucian is, again, itemization. Lucian is an auto attack caster now, where he's more of like a.
So he's weird. He has an identity crisis going on.
Yeah, but he's like he's an auto attack champion. Really,
he is. But he also casts a lot more than your typical, compared to Vayne.
So my point is, Graves is all about the all-in. He's E to Q to auto attack, EQR or ERQ, whatever you want to do it, whatever we're going to do, and that's supposed to do big chunks of burst damage. But there is no item out there that is cost effective for Graves to supplement the damage he does with the range that he has. Like, he has to be in the fight to do that damage, and Bloodthirster was great for him because it gave him plus 100 AD, or it was 100 AD. Because it gave him plus 100 AD, so that really, and it was cheap. So supplemented all his abilities, allowed him to get in there, allowed him to do the damage at the point in the time to allow him to snowball further. So now that you can only build Blade of the Ruin King, Essence Reaver, or Eye-Edge, he doesn't get anything out of any of those items. Substantial amount. You can
build Bloodthirster, it's just not that good anymore.
Well,
it's not a good first buy anymore. It's great in mid and late game, but that's not the first item you want to have, because you can't take advantage of what it does.
Some would argue the shield helps because it goes with his passive and making him tankier to get in there and fight, but he's still a marksman when the bubble pops, so you don't want to be in the fight as it is. So it's
well, when
I don't know. Maybe he could work in those cases where you have the Lucian top and then pick a Graves as the marksman and see how that goes. Because then you got an actual ADC to stay in the back.
So fun fact about Lucian right now: Alex Ish played him today in the mid lane, and they picked a hyper carry in the bottom lane. They will do that. There's a fast push strategy out there that I just learned about actually in a GDC chat, which is Morgana top, Ezreal mid, hyper carry bottom, and then they pick junglers to complement those. But it's a push really fast and harass those lanes and get the towers down.
GPL, some team does that.
That sounds scary.
Yeah.
So ban Morgana every game too.
But they pick Gragas if Morgana's not available, so it's not like that strategy's
right.
So ban Morgana and Gragas.
Yeah, right. So
they're still good bans.
And leave Cassidy and Yasuo on the board.
But okay, so other champions, Tristana Kog'Maw are really popular right now. Jinx kind of falling to the wayside, Twitch kind of falling. You'll see people pick them up.
She's kind of like Jinx.
That's why I said they're like, you've got your first tier, and they're like half a tier below.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's nothing wrong with picking them.
No.
Right.
Like you're if all things are equal, Urgot is definitely a risky pick there going for. You really got to know exactly what to do to exploit.
I wouldn't call him an AD carry though at all. He's an identity crisis as well.
Yeah, he has a lot of problems, but okay. I mean, Ezreal is really in bad shape right now.
Ezreal and Corki.
Despite being incredibly popular. I mean, you played him. Well, you were accidentally running AP runes, though.
That wasn't fun. That wasn't fun at all. I kept screaming, why can't I last hit? Oh, because I have AP Masteries and Runes. Well, my Q hit really hard.
I mean, Varus, though, is...
It's anybody who needs AD to succeed is having
a problem. Just bulk AD, whereas most marksmen get a lot from AD crit and attack speed. Varus doesn't really get as much from crit and attack speed. It's nice to have because he is going to auto attack, but he's using his abilities a lot more compared to his contemporaries.
Yeah, and they don't have the movement. Or Lucian, the reason Lucian works with the 500 range is because he's so mobile. He gets a speed increase with W, and he also gets the E reset, so he's constantly zigzagging around the map. If you're Lucian, all you have is your rotation of abilities and just hope to God that you can kite. Same thing with Ashe. You can kite.
You mean Varus?
Well, that's what I meant. Yeah, Varus. Varus and Ashe. Ashe is another one of those where she's just a utility AD carry. And the meta doesn't really favor utility AD carries right now because we don't have carry junglers and carry. I guess we're moving to carry top lanes, but we don't have the assassin mids anymore, and we don't have the assassin top lanes. Actually, now that I think about it, it really comes down to the assassin mid. Like the assassin mid is really why Ashe isn't working out so well. Because you can't have an AD carry that can't go into late game. Because so many games are going so much longer now. They're all going to, 35 plus minutes, and Ashe doesn't fare as well as the other hyper carries in terms of damage. Because she doesn't have any modifiers.
She doesn't snowball exponentially like a Vayne, for example.
She has the utility, and she hopes the assassin blows them up as they're stunned to that 2 seconds.
There's been some interesting discussion about Ashe just within the community lately. And part of the problem really is her passive. Like it's okay enough, to come back to a fight and have a realistically high chance of getting a crit, but beyond that, like it's not helping you. Even we were just lamenting Graves, but even then, Graves gets a bunch of resistances, and it's hard to complain about those, And she's just gonna auto attack so much that she can't really make use of that passive in any meaningful way.
I don't like her E. I don't like that her E gives vision on it's like a 40-second cooldown. It has a passive to give you extra gold, but Twisted Fate has that into his passive, his actual passive, not into an ability passive.
So does Draven.
Well, yeah. Yep. Well, Draven's isn't his actual passive, not an ability passive.
Right. No, I'm saying that same with Draven. No, it was same as Twisted
Fate. It's outdated. They need to take a look at it.
Yeah, E on Ashe is completely and totally outdated right now.
I would love to see her get a passive that had more synergy with just frost effects so that she worked better with Lissandra, Sejuani, Anivia, and all those types of champions.
Sure.
But I think this game needs more of those types of things going on because I think those are really cool elements. And it's rewarding when you have when you are Cassiopeia and someone on your team picks Singed, it's actually really fun and rewarding to play in that comp and everything. I'm irrespective of meta discussions for that.
Synergy,
it's a fun way to play.
I agree with you there.
And it'd be cool if there were more opportunities for that. And there are so many champions in this game that I don't think giving Ashe that type of thing would break the game anymore. There was talk long ago of, having synergy between Anivia and all these other champions would make the champion totally overpowered, and whatever, that might have been the case at the time. That was beta season 1. That was a long time ago. They're 120.
Just don't let Anivia E everything that's frosted. Make her the exception.
Sure.
Because that's what's overpowered, because that just destroys. But yeah, she needs to rework, I think. And to answer did we answer the question really? How much better are the stronger ADs? I think we answered it. We can sum it up by saying that they're the ones that have similar abilities, like you mentioned, Graves and Lucian. It's kind of a no-brainer to pick, just because we were talking about the items that are best, including the Bork, etc. And flat AD just doesn't seem to work as well.
It's much like Ezreal and Corki of last year, where they were so powerful because one item made them super powerful. Well, it wasn't blue build at the Worlds. It was Trinity Force being so cheap. But now that we have a new build pass in the game that allow for other champions to be more powerful.
Worlds is coming up. They will buff Trinity Force in some ways so that we have another.
They can't.
Last week we saw Corky and Cog with Trinity Force. We're still kicking ass. So
Corky works right now with Trinity Force, but Corky, I've said this before, has to have Trinity Force by 15 minutes for him to work. If he doesn't, he just falls right off. Because you have to use that power spike you get with him to keep yourself in the game.
I mean, so I just want to touch one thing. It's all good and fun to talk tier lists and everything and say this champion, just generally speaking, is better than the other. But when the bubble pops,
when the cookie crumbles,
if you don't like playing a certain champion, don't play him or her just because it's perceived as OP. Still try to have fun playing this game. Like, that is why you're doing it.
We've said it before. If you like a champion, you like his abilities, you have a lot of fun playing him, you will become really good at that champion, and you will succeed.
But if you'll
face that position as Graves, and you'll kick his ass because Graves is your main. Graves is your favorite. You enjoy playing him. So,
if you ever see Optimus Tom in a game, pick Poppy and go into his lane.
That's true. I really want to give a shout out to all the viewers in Twitch right now. I appreciate how much hell you were giving Tom about Poppy.
I appreciate that.
He loves Poppy a lot. Actually,
Poppy's his favorite champion.
Please tweet at Optimus Tom. Let him know how much you love Poppy.
Send him pictures too, please.
Send him pictures of his face superimposed on Poppy's body.
Send him pictures of you playing Poppy.
Oh, I will see that.
Send him pictures of you in games without Tom playing Poppy.
Oh shit, he's still here. Duck!
All right.
All right. Griff, you are up, and Bazakre? I don't know how to say it, but you're on deck. Griff writes, I found that utility-based champions are better than carry-focused champions in solo queue. What type of champion should I be playing? Do you feel the same way I do? You should be playing whatever champion you have fun with, Griff. That's really the end of the story.
We have been touching for a while that the meta seems to be like utility jungle, utility mid, utility support, utility in all those roles, and then hyper carries out of top and marksman. But, you know, I mean, without saying what role this Griff, without saying what role you play, it's tough to say how accurate you are in that assessment. You know, if you think utility marksmen are the way to go, I'd say you're probably a little off base.
If we pick your wording where you say, I found that utility-based champions are better than carry-focused champions in solo queue, maybe that means that you are having more success playing utility-based champions than carry-focused champions, which means maybe you enjoy them more, then yes, play those utility-based champions.
Or it just means you fully appreciate what, you know, good lockdown or shields and that type of stuff can do. It doesn't. You win fights by dealing X damage to your opponent. You have to survive their damage output, and you know, crowd control and shields are going to be the ways that help you do that.
I know I joke a lot in this podcast about playing what's OP and on my Smurf, who is well into Silver 1 and working his way out very quickly, I have carried myself with Ashe as AD carry. I know, you know, we just talked about her and how she's not in a good spot, but if you're really good at AD carry and have good mechanics, you're going to out-duel the enemy. I flashed an Orianna ult the other day. Like, the Orianna ult, the ball came out at me, I flashed out of it, killed Orianna, and I laughed. You know, he just had to have better mechanics than the enemy player. But I typed it all check. Get fucked. No, I'm kidding.
Of course you did.
I would have flashed into the shockwave, taken it, and then killed her.
Yeah. Well, listen, MS is not an excuse for that one, okay? You just fucked up.
But then I would have killed her anyway, so.
But yeah, just, you know what, if you have the mechanics, play what you like. We're giving you tips. When you get higher, you'll realize that the meta needs to there's this weird place in League of Legends from like gold 3 to plat 1, we'll say, where maybe even gold 5. I'll go as low as gold 5, where the meta kind of needs to be adhered to, because that's where players are learning quite a bit about this game. They have good mechanics, but they're learning how to play the game. And when you get in the diamond, it doesn't really matter because your mechanics are so good.
And also, keep this in mind. You can't just say general utilities better than carry. Look at your enemy champions. Know what they do. Know if you need somebody to lock somebody down. They have a Vayne. You need someone utility to keep her in her place in the late game if it gets there, to lock her down so you can kill her. So take a look at the enemy champions and your friendly champions and see what you need. If you need some kind of utility, no one has any kind of hard CC whatsoever, go ahead and pick up that spot.
Sometimes I hate answering these questions. Good answer to Claude. Because we'll talk about one thing and why it works so well, but then we'll tell people to just play whatever they like.
Well, I mean, it's like having two different conversations there. I mean, like, yes, there is a hierarchy to the way things are, but that doesn't mean you need to strictly adhere to it to be successful in this game.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
The Claude is kind of living proof of that. He's going to play Pantheon irrespective of Pantheon's, success in solo queue or perceived ability in the game.
I mean, he's still playing Sejuani, for God's sakes.
Yeah, you were playing Ziggs long before people were playing Ziggs.
Right, hipster. Right. Because I just like the champions, so I'll play them. And you know what? If you're not having fun playing the game, we've said it many times, then you're not going to enjoy playing the game, and you're going to do horrible. So have fun. You'll do better.
Yeah, I mean,
listen to our meta, and then this is what Adam doesn't like. The meta discussion is to help arm you with that knowledge. So while you're having fun playing the game, you know your boundaries, and you know the enemy's boundaries. Mm-hmm. We'll put it that way.
That's very well put. We're giving you information to make you better at this game, and hopefully that information helps you understand why some champions are good and the weaknesses of other champions who can exploit those weaknesses.
Right. So play Poppy.
Play Poppy. Superimpose Tom's. You know what I really, really want? And the last time I put out a challenge to our listeners, they came back and they helped us. Like there's GIFs out there.
Our listeners are awesome.
Yeah, our listeners
they
are
will
fantastic.
Do it.
I want somebody to make a Optimus Poppy skin where you take Optimus Tom's head and you put it on the model in game, and if he cues, I want his head to make like a weird like a weird look up screaming face as it goes into the wall. Or even better, I want Poppy with Optimus Tom's face on the mallet.
Oh, the mallet screaming at you, Alex. Oh, that would be scary.
Think John Romero from Doom 2. If you went into the Primeval's head, like you saw the head of John Romero. I want the same damn thing as Poppy. I want Tom's head on Poppy's stick in game.
Anything
Please make this happen.
Related, go ahead and send us.
This is such an
If you want to write fan fiction
joke.
about Tom and Poppy, go ahead.
This is such an old joke that we're throwing back to here.
I know.
I mean, this is like 2 years old, isn't it, Adam?
It's not a joke. He still does.
It's not a joke.
I know, but I mean, just
the
making fun of Tom. I mean, this predates me by a long time.
It's great. Yes, please. Somebody out there, if you do skin models, for the love of God, contact me. I will get you faces of Optimus Tom. I have access to faces of Optimus Tom. We will make this happen.
That's like the creepiest thing that's ever come out of your mouth.
All right. Tom, don't worry about it. Don't suspect a thing, please. We're not serious, and our fans didn't hear a word we said, so you're safe.
Yeah, Tom, you're safe.
Just worry about your fantasy picks.
I'm gonna call it Boz. Boz is up. Why are people building? And then Dead Solo, you were on deck.
Bozaker.
There we go. Why are people building Blade of the Ruin King on Renekton? I feel that Tiamat is a superior buy. Well,
dueling
Bozaker.
Bozaker.
We don't have a good answer. We agree with him, don't we?
No, here's the thing, it's dueling power. What are you looking to do? Are you looking to move are you looking to push the person into his tower and then roam, or are you looking to straight up duel the enemy in your lane? That is really the primary answer why you would Blade the Ruin King over Tiamats. It also comes to team fights. Are you looking to chase down the enemy, either the AD carry or AP mid? Are you looking to wait to stick on them more reliably by removing some of their movement speed? Then you want Blade the Ruin King, because you can slice, dice, W, Blade the Ruin King. Now you're standing on top of them, and you are standing on top of them, eating your ultimate's magic damage a little longer. So, what do you want to do?
You know what, Tiamats, you become you kind of have to side push then. I think you put it right. Look to see what you want to do. Renekton kind of falls off as the further the game goes on. With Blade of the Ruin King, you help balance that out a little bit and keep him competitive. Mm-hmm. So
yeah. You know what? W procs every single one of the Blade of the Ruin Kings as well.
Oh yeah. And now that it's been increased, it's even better.
An empowered W is 3 attacks, and normal W is 2, so you get a proc every time you attack. Pop, pop.
Do you guys still like Blade of the Ruined King on him if it's not a very tanky team you're up against? If the only tank is, say, the jungler.
Yeah, no, it's all about dueling. It's literally lane presence.
I like it for his ability to catch. You do the double slice and dice, you hit the slow, and then you're in range to hit him with your W, which does 3 procs of Blade of the Ruined King. It just seems better.
That's assuming you're empowered, is 3 procs.
But if your job is to split push, for whatever reason you're enacted in that role, then pick up.
If your job is to split push or keep the enemy at their tower, so they have to give up experience, when you push somebody in a tower, you are feeding them experience. That's all you're doing. Even if they're not getting last hit, you're just feeding them experience. But if you need to keep that enemy at bay where he has to make the choice between losing experience or coming down to help, at that point, I mean, they're always going to be a little bit behind you when it comes to the experience because they aren't going to be able to kill them as quickly as you are. You just have to make the decision in top lane. What do you want to do?
Yep, so Hydra in that case. But most of the time, I would say Blade of the Ruined King. So you'll have more fun on it, too, because it's more fun when you're dueling somebody to be able to
That's a fun item.
And it is fun.
Don't forget to press 1. Don't forget to use activatable items. PSA today, guys. You have activatable items. There are more in this game than there were in Season 2. Use them.
I am a huge offender on that. Like, I'll get Azonias and I'll die all the time with the active up, and I just I need to learn to use them better.
Buy a Cutlass. It's an extra 100 damage, magic damage in the bottom lane. Use your actives.
But Bork, I always use because it's there to slow them. You want to catch up.
I hate the excuse I don't buy activatable items because I don't remember to use them. It's like you just train yourself. Like just buy them and actively remember that you have this item because eventually it just becomes second nature and you are now in such better shape for games going forward because you have these activatable items.
You just need to keep telling yourself, I have an activatable, I have an activatable, use the activatable.
I play games where the activatable item single-handedly turned it around for me.
Oh, yeah. In team fights, if you're really bad at them in team fights, just train yourself to roll your hand all over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just do that.
Been there, absolutely. I'll use. Sometimes I'll even use Randuids. I don't even need to use it. I'm like, just like you said, roll your knuckles across the keyboard, and I've used them all. GG, first blood.
Support. Playing support is fun. You end a lot of games with like 4 activatable items, and you're praying like hell you remember to use them all correctly. If you have the hotkeys mixed up in your head, you're just screwed.
Especially Mikhail's.
Shit! I just used my scrying orb in the middle of a fight. That didn't do me any good.
You know what's funny? When I'm playing support, I move my
sweeper.
I move my ward, my warding, whatever that sight stone, around between like 3, 2, and 5 all the time, depending on what activators will I get. Because my 1 is always smart cast. 2, 3 are normal cast, 4 is smart cast, so my trinket's always smart cast, and then 5 is just, and then 5 and on or not. So, like, I have to move it around depending on what I want to use. Do I want it in smart cast? Do I want it? It's really confusing. Like, I do the same thing.
I move it to the more comfortable spots.
3 is the only spot where wards go.
3.
That's where I like to put them. It's 3, yeah.
Pink wards go into 5.
Somebody made enough.
Same with me. I do pinks in the 5, regulars in the 3, and then 1, 2 for usual activatables. Unless I get more.
3 is also the only non-smart cast.
Guys, someone made an Optimus Poppy. I just posted
it
there.
That was quick. Quick work out of the fans. Yeah, there it is. I wish the headphones would have been around Poppy's hair.
It's got the hair. Tom,
are you looking at it? It's a good face out of Tom there.
It is.
This podcast is like in between the good answers is just laughter. I gotta kill my Twitter. All you guys are gonna hear retweets. All right.
Put a link in the description for when you release the podcast on audio, so people can.
We're not answering this one.
Which one? Oh, I thought that's one we just answered, wasn't it?
No,
the one that we get into.
No, we answered Bazacre.
Did we really go that long talking about you?
Yes.
Okay. Dead Solo writes, Dom, you need to move your. Wait, I need to do that. Never mind.
I do? What?
No, we're good. Dead Solo writes, what's a good way to improve my overall macro objective strategy for the game? Play StarCraft. I'm not lying. Go play
you said it-
StarCraft. Like, you need
Because
to.
micro sucks in StarCraft. It's a pain in the ass. So,
But you need. But if you're good at macro in StarCraft, you can still win the game. Like, you can make yourself. You could probably bring yourself to gold or whatever equivalent it is in StarCraft by just learning the macro game. I know that's probably not the answer you wanted to hear. Really, go into a game with an objective. This game, I'm going to play jungle, and I'm going to pay attention to my timers, and I'm going to counter jungle and pay attention to timers. This game, I'm going to go in, or I'm just going to counter jungle and I'm going to pay attention to timers. This game, I'm just going to pay attention to my timers. This game, I'm just going to pay attention to dragon and baron. This game, I'm going to pay attention to the wards that go down. Have an objective.
This game, I'm going to make sure I use active items.
Right.
I mean, I have a friend who would literally just take notes, tape it up on his monitor for things that he needed to remember going into every game. And sometimes it was big stuff like, you know, pay attention to enemy wards, and other times it was take ghost on Olaf. Like every time.
Was it really?
And yeah, no, I mean, he would just have a list of notes that he would put up there. And then he got rid of it and realized how much that was, there was a bunch of stuff that he forgot because he no longer had his notes in front of him. So don't become too dependent on that list if you take that route, but, you know, it's good to note things that you need to work on. And that's really what it is. Take every game that you play, irrespective of the, you know, whether it's a win or a loss, and figure out what you could have done to play better. And sometimes there are games where you're like, yeah, I'm not sure I could have done anything different to change the outcome on the game, you know? There are always little things you could have done, but it's hard to recall those. But, you know, there are sometimes it's like, yeah, I ulted in the wrong time. I got trigger happy there, or I was busy farming a lane when I was supposed to be with my team. You know, these are all things that everybody does at one point or another, and you just have to teach yourself to break the habits.
yeah, and one thing, get used to hitting the tab key. Even if you're confused, you don't know what's going on, hit the tab key and get some information. Take a look at the enemy items, for example.
Take a look at the timers.
Yeah, you'll see the timers now. Take a look at the timers, hit the tab key, look at the items, go, okay, I don't know what I'm going to do. All right, now I have knowledge on what the enemy's building. Okay, I see they're building some MR. Maybe I need to work towards that Void Staff before I finish up my Zonias, whatever the case may be.
And do that. Playing Arums
Because it's only one lane.
Good way. Because it's only one lane, there's less to look at, there's less to pay attention to. Play Arums and press tab. Okay, the enemy team is building a lot of magic resist. I need to build pen.
It's funny playing ARAMs and realizing how few people understand how to itemize and how to team fight.
Oh yeah.
Like you go in and you have people trying to use Sejuani's ult as an execute instead of an initiate. You go in and you have people refusing to use Nami's W as a heal for the team when there's plenty of downtime. You go in and you have people building nothing but damage, and all you have to do is build resistances and you will win on certain champions. Like just all of these little things where if you are paying attention to what your opponent does and what your abilities do, like you just come out ahead by virtue of all that.
Understanding your abilities and win. We've said it for a while. I think ARAMs teach you they teach you how to engage. They don't necessarily teach you how to team fight. They teach you how to engage a team fight, or when you should be engaging a team fight. Dom, that looks so depressing.
I'm out of beer. I don't have another one here. I want one more.
Well, we have about 6 more minutes, so deal with it. .jpg.
I know. You'd be upset too. I know. So you're not.
I wish that had more body.
I had one of these.
Know?
22 ounces. It was $1. Oh, yeah.
How is that? How is that guy going for you?
$1?
It's actually pretty good.
Gnarly Dark?
Gnarly Oak.
Oh, Gnarly Oak.
It was a 4-pack. So actually, it was a 3-pack of 22 ounces plus a glass for $4. How could you pass that up?
Yeah. Free glass. Glass alone.
Where are you getting this? At a garage sale or something?
Jungle Gyms is amazing. Jungle Gyms is the best. I went to Jungle Gyms and spent $18 on booze, and I have more than I told Dom. I said, Dom, I have enough booze to last me through the week, and he just laughed. He just like, I bought a 1.5 liter bottle of sweet red wine for $3.
I could drink wine today. No, I don't want to.
No, I was gonna drink it on Wednesday, but we all know what happens if I drink wine, so that's not gonna happen.
Oh yeah, that was fun. You should do it again. You should have an Adam Winecast.
Oh God, do you want to hear screaming? Yeah, let's move on to the last question of the night. Gorath writes, I see deep wards as wards that are placed in the enemy's jungle, typically past their first tier of towers. Is there a certain time that deep wards are more important to place or more dangerous to place? When should I really focus on placing deep wards? What are the best places to put the deep wards? All right, so I can answer the beginning of this.
That's a lot of questions being asked here.
Gorath, the time to place deep wards is dependent. Okay, it depends on if you're playing solo queue or ranked 5. Solo queue, I would not put emphasis on deep wards until you've made it past the laning phase, or you are getting ready to take dragon. Ranked 5s, hold on their beast. 30 minutes of discussion about based on warding right there. So we're going to stick to solo queue in this instance because I'm assuming that's what we're talking about. If you are getting ready to do an objective as a support, you don't necessarily bring a lot of damage to, we'll say objective as dragon, for example. You don't necessarily bring a lot of damage to dragon when it comes to auto attacking. So taking that moment to walk up to the enemy's blue buff or your blue buff and dropping a ward, or walking around to the enemy's red buff and dropping it in the front of the bush, a ward there, is better use of your time than it is attacking dragon, because you're providing information to your team. That's how you start the deep ward. It's step wards. First you started there. Okay, now I have vision there for, I know, 3 minutes because I placed one of my long wards. Now we've taken dragon, we all go back, I come back, we're pushing down mid lane. I can walk in a little bit further in the jungle and drop one by red. I can walk a bit further in the jungle, drop one by the wraith.
Don't hesitate to place a new ward, even if that means one of your old wards will be going away.
I do it all the time.
You know, if you have a deep ward placed because at the time you were taking an objective and you needed vision there, there's a decent chance that that vision is not going to be helpful for you for the next 3 minutes. And you're better off putting a ward in a critical spot than leaving one there because you're trying to maximize your efficiency on that front.
Speaking of hesitate, as a support role on that objective, the enemy might hesitate if they see you. They see you just through a ward in their blue bush, for example, their purple side, your blue side doing the dragon. You went up there into the blue bush through the ward. They see you. They'll hesitate for a second, or maybe you can zone a little bit.
Scrying orb.
That'll give you some time.
You are all about that item now, and I love it.
Because you're a marksman.
I play a lot more marksman than I do top lately.
Yeah.
So.
But you were even buying it in mid.
Yeah, I bought it last night on Lux.
You are just kind of buying it now if our team doesn't if your team doesn't have one.
Because for 9 times out of 10 players don't buy enough sweepers. They stick with their normal ward throughout the entire game. So having that person who is mindful of buying a scrying or an extra sweeper is more helpful than sticking with an extra ward, in my opinion. But to continue on that point, deep warding is a step process because you need to have control of the map to do it. How many times have I watched Dom walk up toward Baron because he didn't have extra wards there and get caught out of position? Like, Baron needed to be warded.
Yeah, I was doing what I needed to, and I knew it was a risk, but we needed a ward there, and I got caught. Yeah, I've done it millions of, well, not millions, but hundreds of times, probably.
If you're on your heels, there's no reason to deep ward the enemy jungle because they're not going to be there.
There are few things more frustrating than getting caught trying to ward somewhere because that's what, that's part of your job as a support. But if you don't do it, someone else is going to get caught. You have to try to get the wards out there. And there is always going with the deep wards, but that you can't be risk averse in that situation.
You wouldn't have gotten caught if Adam had scrying orbed the area for you first.
I'm usually dead when he gets caught.
When that happens, it's usually like a team fight has happened recently, and I'm just venturing into the jungle to try and reclaim some vision of the map. And I think I'm safe to go into an area, and there's actually a bunch of people ready to murder me.
Deep warding also for deep warding your own jungle is very helpful as well. Dom is probably the only support in North America that wards his own red buff. Realize that warding your own buffs or warding your own jungle, deep warding your own is very helpful.
If I know that my jungler is getting heavily counter jungled, I try to ward up my jungle as much as I possibly can. Part of it's to help out my jungler and my team, and so that hopefully we can catch somebody. And the other part is just sheer paranoia from being in the bottom lane. Because if a jungler is counter jungling my team, that means he or she is going to come and murder the shit out of me and my marksman, and that's the last thing I want to do. And I've said it, I don't know how many times on this podcast and elsewhere, wards are doing you absolutely zero good if you are holding them in your inventory. Place them. I know this guy's talking about placing him, and that's good. You got the attitude I like. But seriously, if you die and you have 3 wards in your inventory, it's probably your
don't deep pink ward unless you're really ahead as far as gold wise, because they'll just find it and kill it. So deep wards are for the regular wards, the site that provides sight, not the vision ones. So keep that in mind. If you have a pink ward, use it somewhere safe where you can react and protect it, but don't get baited to it.
I'm not a big fan of throwing a pink ward in that river brush. Like, I know a lot of people do it, and people still do just walk right by it, but I mean,
I love that river brush. So many people walk by it. Many people do.
I do. I don't know. Maybe I've just been having bad luck.
Dragon side, right? That little circular bush.
Yeah, I don't like throwing a pink there. I just feel like more often than not, I throw it down, and then 30 seconds later it dies. And that's 100 gold, I'm out, and I'm kind of in a gold-starved role at that part of the game.
Well, I think you need to look at it another way. Now you know where that player is for 5 seconds, and potentially the next 45 seconds, because you can understand what path they're going to walk from, because you can watch them walk away from that.
No, I do think of all that. I do consider it, and then there are some times where action is happening while your ward gets killed, so you don't realize it got killed, and you just think, oh, hey, look, my ward's gone. Great. I'm really happy about that.
Garth, I hate to say it. We've talked about this in the past, and it's just information. You just need to assess what information your team needs and what your team is going to do with that information. So deep warding in a solo queue is are you going to give information to yourself that you can relate to your team in a timely manner so the team can use that information to their advantage? Because I'm going to assume that you've warded the enemy blue buff, but your team is not going to pay attention to that ward because your team does not have good map awareness. So you need to be able to relay that information to your team before they know what's going to happen. So you just need to look at that overall scenario.
As far as best places go, I don't know that there are strict best places anymore. But places I like throwing wards, definitely like that crossroads right by the ancient golem on both sides. I prefer throwing it right in the middle there, so you can see whether they're going to golem or going away, going to a lane, or going to the side lane, or going back to mid lane. Like, that's a lot of information you can get. A lot of people are inclined to throw it in the brush there, which makes sense. But I feel like you actually get more information throwing it into the crossroads. That's a reasonably popular spot.
Right?
But
the crossroads by wraiths. That's what we're talking about. That big.
No,
area.
I'm talking the one right by blue.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Like there's a crossroads right there.
Because I was gonna say, I really like wraiths. I really like the crossroads by wraiths.
that spot too. But everybody throws it there, and you can throw it in the brush there, and it's not a big deal. Like, you still get basically the same info, like you can see inside the brush. But the blue, because the brush is on the side, like the other side of the wall, you lose some of the vision there.
You'll see him going into the brush, though.
Yeah, there are advantages.
You got the information you need.
That's why most people will throw it in the brush, is because then you can see it in the brush, and I fully appreciate that. I like it a little bit forward ahead, because you can see them coming, and then you get to see what direction they're going in.
I like top lane tri-brush. We've talked about that a tons of times. If you want to hear about that, go back 20 episodes. We probably talked about it. I like wraiths. Really like those spots, because you can see what's going on. You can see the jungler enter or exit his jungle. I like that little bush that Dom doesn't like by the dragon, and I actually like the hook of the dragon pit by the sign over here on the right-hand side, to stick it right in there, because that forces the person, if they're melee, to walk in to attack.
But by the way, go on.
I like that brush for a normal ward. I don't like throwing a pink in there.
Now, Baron, there's a sneaky spot I found watching an LCS game, European LCS game. It's actually on the outside of the pit, where you can see if any champion is not, if all the champions are not fully inside the pit. If they are, you won't be able to see them. But it's outside the pit, on the far side towards the top area, in between, the pit, outside edge of that pit, kind of in the middle there, because they will sweep the inside, they will sweep the outside, but they won't hit that spot. And you'll see champions who are anywhere outside the pit.
I know what he's talking about. There's a hook on the right side of Baron Pit,
but not
and
in the hook.
You can sit on the outside of the hook.
Outside of the hook, because then they won't see it when they sweep.
Because people sweep the pit, and here's the hook right here on the top, and the circle goes on just on the corner of the hook and doesn't actually touch it.
And I'm kind of curious to see how the Summoner's Rift update affects little nooks and crannies like that. And even the ward spots that I like right now, I wonder if any of them are going to end up changing when that update hits.
Right. Well,
so deep ward, when you have the ability to go there, if you're on your heels, don't deep ward.
Hell, I like the back. I like the back left
Shallow
corner of the Baron pit because no one tries to do the back left corner of the Baron pit. They always do the back right corner for whatever reason. Even I do it. I don't know what it is.
That's true. Notice I do that too.
Yeah, you never get the full Baron pit. You do like 3/4 of the Baron pit, and you miss that little ward in the upper corner. But and no one actually stands in the bush in the Baron pit and tries to jump over with a ward or anything either. Everyone goes from the smallest point. So anyway, that's it. I think that it will end the mailbag episode. You know what? We're gonna answer Punch's question because it's a funny question.
No, that's Chira would be the best for that, man. We need to save that for when he's here. I'm sorry, we gotta save that for when Chira's here.
All right, let's save for Well, that's gonna be a while. You know what?
Yeah.
For Punch, we should probably answer it.
But nobody on this show loves food as much as Chira does.
I love food second as much as Chira. Chira is obviously ahead of me. Don't get me wrong. And he's diamond level food eater.
Yeah,
now our listeners are curious.
You're like a journeyman food guy.
Do you want to know? It's food related, right? How does this relate to League?
This is the teaser.
Find out
the teaser.
3 weeks from now when Chira's... Find out a week from now when Chira comes back.
All right, guys, you've listened to episode number 179 of the Trinity Force podcast. I'm getting too fat for my t-shirts because of the beer that I'm eating, and it's fantastic. Guys, go check out the Trinity Force podcast.
Spreadshirt.
Store.trinityforcepodcast.com to go buy your very own Trinity Force podcast t-shirt.
You are the guy in the band that wears the t-shirt.
And nothing wrong with that, Dob. Nothing wrong with that at all.
Nothing wrong with that at all.
We will see, and go check out the Optimus Poppy underneath there, blah, blah, blah. We'll see you all on Wednesday. Peace.
Later.
Good night.